Smart Dumb Podcast, where we decode the genius, the madness, and the existential crisis that comes with doing a PhD, and sometimes, of course, even not doing a PhD, and it can hit you anytime in the career. And it's called Smart Dumb because you need to be the dumbest in the room in order to be the smartest. And this is a podcast that also covers stories of people's professionals who have made this shift from academia to creating real world products and solving real world problems. And for today's episode, we have Ayush Parveen, a bioinformatics scientist whose work lies at the intersection of biology and data science. And if you look into his LinkedIn profile, the very first line and the heading is solving hard biological problems one data at a time. So we are going to be diving deep into that in a while. But before that, a little bit about Praveen is he transitioned from academia to industry, joined Elucidata, a data-driven company specializing in biomedical data. And over the last 6 years, he progressed from a data science intern to a senior bioinformatics scientist, contributing significantly to the field of bioinformatics. His expertise is again encompassing omics, data analysis, computational methods, machine learning application in biological research, a bachelor in biotechnology and a master's in biosciences and bioengineering from IIT Kanpur. Currently, Ayush serves as the principal bioinformatics scientist at VIA Scientific, uh, where he continues to tackle challenging biological problems. And beyond his professional role, I think Praveen is also a blogger. I was going through a couple of his blogs, and maybe he's trying to inspire the scientific community through his blog called the Decode Box blog on Medium. With that, Ayush, I'm here to learn insights on the opportunities available after master's degree or even after pursuing a PhD, which is evolving around the landscape of bioinformatics in India. And before we get into that, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but it was class 12th, and the only one subject that I failed in by 1 mark was biology. Okay? So I stay away from biologists, and the questions that I might ask may be a little layman kind, but pardon me, I believe I'm not a bioinformatics or a biologist. I come from a hardcore material science engineering domain. So there may be a lot of questions around where I might want to deep because I want to understand from you because you're working in that particular field. Okay, Ayush. And also I want to compensate for the fact, though I failed in biology, I scored good in other subjects. Okay, so it's not that I failed in other subjects. So with that, the very first question for you, Ayush, is you pursued a master's from IIT Kanpur and didn't go the PhD way, right? That feels like a natural progression. Most of the people in the Indian ecosystem go that way. So what stopped you from getting into the master's, and did you know that it was the right decision for you, Ayush?
Okay, so let me first start by saying that the way you introduce your podcast, it was lovely, and yeah, I really liked it. I would say the same about how you introduced me. So thanks for the great introduction. Um, and also, I don't think it's a big trouble if you did not get good score in a particular subject, biology in this case. My overall perspective on that matter is so I posted about this on LinkedIn a couple of days back. We have a subject, sorry, we have an exam called GATE, which is a national level exam to get master's admission for engineering students into, if you score good, you can get into IITs. If you score decently, you can get into NITs and other institutions. And it's supposed to be centered around your course of engineering in your master's program. I scored well in that, and that's how I landed into IIT. But I think if you consider the relative proportion of different subjects, I scored the least in bioinformatics, and that was the least appealing subject for me back at that time. So it's just a matter of how the subject has been taught to you. Every subject is interesting. It's just a matter of whether it's A, appealing to you or not, and B, how it has been taught to you. If the second case is good for you, then most often the subject that you hated mostly, whether that was maths, biology, or anything, you will start liking them at some point in time. So that happened with me exactly, and that's how I am a bioinformatician today. So sorry for the long
I,
uh,
I get
discourse. Yeah.
And just reminding you, the question was like, what made you to choose industry after your masters, and you didn't go for PhD. So why did you make that decision? And did you already know that was the right decision for you?
Right. So I would say that was an uninformed decision at that point in time. So I decided to pursue biotechnology because of influence of my biology teacher, and I was clear since my ninth standard that I wanted to pursue biotech. Not sure what are the programs out there for it, but my biology teacher ensured that she's not just teaching us routine biology as a part of school curriculum. She's telling us about what are the applications out there in the field, what could be done other than being a doctor in terms of career, and that exposed me to that there exists a stream which is biotech, and I was clear that yeah, that's what I want to pursue. And ever since then, I was constantly exploring what can be done, how the typical career trajectory pans out. So even in my plan, it was a route that, well, do a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, a postdoc, spend a lot of time in research, then join maybe a research institution in India, and then pursue the academic style of research for my life. That was the original plan. And since I would say till the time I joined my master's, that was the plan.
Yeah.
In my master's, I was doing hardcore research for roughly 1.5 year in my program, but for my the duration of my program, and I was not liking few aspects of it, and that happens very often. People pick their careers without knowing what they'll be doing day in and day out.
Yeah.
And as they start doing it, they will realize that, oh, this is the aspect of this career that I particularly don't like. And there would be few cases where they would absolutely hate that part of their career,
Yeah.
and they will be confused what to do next.
Right.
So this happened the same during my master's. I was not okay with a few things in academia, which is a lot of focus on publishing papers, which is fine, which is how academia progresses. But I wanted to do something which is more practical, which is more translational.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, I was very exhausted after my master's. It was basically for 1.5 year of my life, I was working 6.5 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
half a day of rest in a week, and then tackle that back again. So it does not give you enough headspace to think clearly what do you want,
Yeah.
and I was exhausted. So what was I thinking at that point in time? I finished my master's. I was clear that, by the way, I did my master's in a subject which was more experimental biology, again, not bioinformatics. Very minor component of my project work was related to bioinformatics, maybe 5% at max.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was I thinking at that point in time? A, I am not liking the academic route too much. Okay, I may need to pursue a PhD, but that's not what I want to do right. That's not something that I want to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like experimental biology a lot. I thought I liked it, but after doing it for 1.5 years, I did not like it that much.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was clear on is the 5% component of my thesis, which was bioinformatics. That's something that I really liked.
Mm.
That's what I want to learn.
Mm.
And then the available option in front of me was, okay, there's industry route to learning things. You can start there and see how it progresses. And like most people, I had a bias also. It is very preconceived. You won't even realize how you form those biases. But as people spend their time in academia, they have that bias against industry that it's basically a secondary career. If you don't make it in academia,
Yeah.
then you pursue a industry career. So I had a bias like that too. On top of that, another bias was people don't pursue meaningful research in industry, at least in India. So I was skeptical whether I should do this thing or not. But then I thought, okay, if I start a industry, if I pick an industry route and I stay there for 1 year, 1.5 year, it's not going to be too bad. I'm at least learning a new skill, and maybe I'll learn, let's say, maybe I'll focus a little bit more on my soft skills, which matter a little bit more in industry. So it's not going to be too harmful in long term. That's
Yeah.
how I joined industry.
Mm.
Even while being in industry, I was trying to pursue a PhD. I was trying to apply for programs. I did not get the labs that I wanted to,
Yeah.
and it was definitely a couple of moments of broken heart that, oh, that's something that you want to do,
Yeah.
but you're not getting the kind of labs you want to join.
Right.
And on the other hand, I was really liking the industry route. It
Mm.
was not like how I imagined it to be,
Yeah.
or how most people imagine it to be. It was very fun.
Yeah.
It is. it's a route where you have to constantly learn, you have to be on your toes, but it's very much fun that way.
Mm.
Uh, you are learning a lot of things, you are becoming better in different aspects, week by week, month by month.
Mm.
And if you just take few times a year to pause and reflect on those things, you realize that you have come very far ahead in your journey. So I started liking it, and
Mm.
then I realized this is not a bad way of doing things.
Mm.
Um, and I questioned this a couple of times during the last 2 3 years whether I should take a break and do a PhD.
Mm.
And I realized it's way too much fun. I
Mm.
am liking working here. I don't have any conflict in terms of work satisfaction.
Yeah.
Um, and taking a break right now for a PhD might be detrimental. Not
Hmm.
detrimental, but might not be very fruitful. So
Yeah.
I decided to stay, and
Yeah.
I decided how to grow in industry too. That's what I want to figure out next. So yeah, that's how things happen.
Okay, Ayush, I had a lot of follow-up questions, but you covered all of them in this one question that I asked you. The first one is you spoke about these two biases. The second bias that you spoke about, that people don't pursue industry because they think that research is not as great as it is in academia. I thought this bias is minimized, but it seems it's not, because it was back in 2010 when I joined industry as a scientist after my master's. And the same thing, the very first day on the induction, there were PhDs and academicians who had come to the podium and told about this very same experience, that we had this biases that industry is not going to be fun and all of that, but it all flipped over a period of time, and now I don't want to go back to academia. Okay, now again, these are very subjective things, but most of the people who I have met who have moved from academia to industry most of the time had this opinion. Of course, there were people who wanted to go back to academia because of the fact that in industry the accountability is high and it's
Right.
a lot more challenging and the pace is higher. So, what is your take on these three things: accountability, challenges, and pace in industry versus academia?
Okay. So I agree with you on that. That yes, there is a higher accountability. The pace is much faster. And sorry, what's the third thing you mentioned?
I think accountability, pace, and challenges.
Challenges. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So that all the three exist. That's definitely the case. But the thing is, and this maybe I might be approaching this from a viewpoint of grander scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
All the different professions and all the different careers and maybe the way you decide to live, each has its own plus and minuses. Each has its own rewards and challenges. And let's say you pick something which you may think is, let's say, less challenging. It will in long term have diminishing returns of rewards also. So then it's a matter of choice. How do we, how does the individual want to imagine their life, and how does different set of things fit into their career? So in my case, I also was not sure whether that's something I want or not. And at some point in time, there is a conflict when, let's say, it gets very demanding, and at times it goes like that. I usually try to take a break at that point in time, think about my life holistically, and then come back. And usually, in all those instances, it has been something that I've been doing momentally wrong, not in the terms of, okay, I am not liking this because there is a higher accountability or there are a lot of challenges. I'm not disliking all of this because of that. There is something that I'm momentally doing wrong or something that need to learn. Let's say if there are a lot of challenges at work, I need to figure out, is there something that I'm doing wrong in terms of, let's say, processes, let's say working with my team in a certain way, and I'm not realizing it. That's what I need to solve. I need to get some headspace, think about what's the challenge, what's the problem, try to think of a solution and fix that there. And that's how things have been working for me within industry. And that's what I will suggest to most people. You will like the higher accountability. You will feel that, oh, I'm part of something bigger. Challenges, the challenges help you grow.
Yeah.
You will love the pace also because yes, pace brings the difficulty, but it also, if you just take few times a year to pause, it will also help you in reflecting that you have grown a lot.
Right,
So
right.
I like that about industry, and that's how I fit into it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, often the parts that people think will be challenging are not the cases. They are basically doing something wrong, and or they might need to learn a lesson, but they are not taking out time to do that.
Yeah.
If they would take out time, they'll like the industry setting completely.
Right, right. So, on that, I want you to again address two questions. Number
Okay.
one, many students, after pursuing their masters, they're not clear like how to find these opportunities, right? The
Right.
awareness about what are these companies, where are they, how to reach out to people, they're not aware, right? So, can you break it down for us with your story? Like, how did you get that first opportunity as an intern? Okay, that's number one. And number two is what does your day-to-day work look like? Okay, of course, keeping the confidential part aside, what are the kinds of project that you're doing and what is the impact it has? Okay, so if you can break it down so that the audience, the listeners can understand the grand scheme of things again, like where it's contributing to and how your work is coming to, life in the real world.
Right. Okay. Um,
So
so
revising the first part, where can the students find this opportunity? Like when can they start and when can they get break into industry? Because being a fresher, it gets a lot more challenging, right? So where
right.
can they start? What should they do? Though I know the answers, but coming from you would be more validating about it, please.
Okay. So I would say uh, how academia exposes you to these things. There's a primary issue there that um, I think student needs to do their part to work through that, which is since the primary unsaid notion is industry or let's say any sort of non-academic career is the secondary option, it's looked down upon. For most of the people, they will not have a long-term career in academia because of just the limited number of
Vacancies,
succession. Yeah, yeah,
opportunities, yeah.
right. So that narrative first needs to break that industry or any sort of non-academic careers are secondary options. They should be the primary options considering that scenario. Second case, the learning that okay, I need to think of industry as primary options. Also need to these that thinking also it should be backed by efforts to learn more about how industry operates and how can we transition into it. And the best way to do that is let's say it's a bachelor's program or a master's program. There should be some internship component within industry, which should at least be 6 months long. In a bachelor's program, there should be multiple of these. I have been very vocal about some of the university programs. Again, it's not promotion, but there are a few industry programs which have basic requirement of just fulfill these many credits which are supposed to be done through academic courses. Then you're free to finish rest of the credits in terms of projects at academia or industry or internship or anything.
Right.
Just finish that anyhow, and that flexible system for these universities are working out. People are clear on okay what sort of industry routes are there, and usually they pursue 1 to 2 internships just before leaving academia, which is a great thing. They are exposed to what sort of work will be there, what sort of companies exist out there, and that sort of sets up the stage for them to transition into industry later. For the other thing, uh, I think at least within India, if not in most countries, people in academia, while they're in academia, need to figure out how they can get a foot in the door in industry, and that's because biotech industry as a whole is not the hiring for it is not standardized like it's there for most engineering. Like for
Right.
let's say you consider the case of computer science. Every year, most companies will have a number of vacancies that they'll put out. People will apply to it in a standard way, and they'll get internships or full-time positions, and that's how they land into industry. Biotech hiring is not structured like that.
Yeah.
It is a on-demand basis, and then the way to, and then how do you optimize to get your foot in the door matters a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least in biotech industry, and the way to do that is. Uh, do as a job, go for as many events as you can. Most students don't do it, and don't go with the idea that you have to present there. Oh, I don't have a research project, or I don't have results as of now. I cannot go and present there. That's not the case. Just go there to attend the events. Ensure that there are a lot of people from industry coming there. Talk to them, understand from them what sort of work exists. Try to um, understand from them is there an internship that's coming up. And there is something just very magical about in-person interactions. If I'll upload someone on LinkedIn, the chances that they'll respond to me in a favorable way,
Mm,
for getting an opportunity,
mm,
it might not be that favorable.
mm.
But as you are discussing with a person about all these things, the chances get much higher. So uh, just attend events, talk to people, ensure that there are a lot of people coming from industry in those events, conferences, anything. And don't think that you have to go and present there. Just go talk to people, network. That will help you get a foot in the door, and that will help you with the next offer that you'll get. So I think
Okay.
that's a practical way to think about how to approach industry.
Yes, I want to cut you there again because when it comes to talking to people, uh, many students are not clear. Like they come with this mindset that, okay, I don't know anything. What should I talk to them, right? But it can also be about how can you be curious and how can you ask the right questions about their journey, right? So, say Ayush, if you were going to an event somewhere now or a conference and a student walks up to you, okay, can you give like three specific questions? Like if they ask you, what is the impression that you will gather about this person in terms of the fact that, oh yeah, this question is nice. He's asking a good question. That's good to know that he's curious about it. That will make an impression or an imprint in your mind to remember that person. Okay, if you can specify, because again, students have no clarity like what question should I ask because they're scared firstly, right, coming from that academic mindset. If you can just go back there and think about it, it's also a little scary because with academicians, many a times we're not allowed to interact that way the interactions happens in industry, right? It's a more open space. So is there anything like if somebody walks up to you, what questions would you take from them and you'd feel like happy answering them?
Okay, so let me give you an anecdote about industry versus academic conversations. When you're writing a mail, let's say to a prof, for a collaboration or for, let's say, just understanding something about their paper or anything, what usually happens is you write a mail. It's a very long email.
Yeah.
You get it reviewed by your lab members. The review process is at least 2, 3 days long.
Yeah.
So um, it goes to multiple different set of people, and once all of them thinks that uh, this is a good email, at that point in time, it's sent to that professor, and then it's just a constant check whether they replied or not, what went wrong. It's just a lot of overthinking and over optimization of something which is very simple.
Mm.
The flip side in industry is you write an email which is very to the point, very crisp, very short, and you send it without thinking too much. If the person replied, great. If not, okay, we'll figure something else out. And this sort of uh, communication differences even there as you approach a person. In academia, you have to be very thoughtful. You have to think about a lot of different cases. You have to plan the conversation in your head and all these things. In industry, it's very impromptu. It should be to the point. It should not feel like you're wasting the other person's time. It should be
Right.
very,
Yeah.
and yeah, it does not have to be like a very planned conversation.
Yeah.
It can be very flexible. So if let's say I am approaching a person in an industry event, I will try to know, uh, well, let's say they're presenting something, I'll try to know more about that work itself, how helpful it will be. Then I'll try to expand on what sort of work they do on a daily basis. And then third thing, I'll probably ask, okay, if I have to work at your org, what sort of skills, credentials, and other things do I need to have?
Right. Yeah.
The conversation is going very favorably. I can then maybe ask, I have these things, and it does not have to be very detailed. Again, the email style difference. Give them just one or two reasons why you could be a fit for a potential role.
Yeah.
Would they be open to considering you for an internship? And in most cases, people are okay hiring you for an internship if you approach them in a nice way in person setting.
Yeah.
The reason being, in an internship, they don't have to pay you a lot
Yeah.
from a company point of view.
Yeah.
Um, you have enough time to work on something substantial or show that you have potential.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, if you work well, there is a good chance it will translate into a full-time role. So
Exactly. Yeah. I guess that's been the case with you as well, right? You got absorbed, like you went in as an intern and then you got absorbed for a permanent role, right? I'm asking because that's been the case with me too. I went in as an intern and then I got absorbed into a permanent role. And there's one very important pointer that you mentioned somewhere at the beginning of this question was that it should be at least for 6 months. So my internship was for almost 9 months. What happens is when it's for that long, you can further confirm it. You have that scope and time to show what your real potential is, number one. And then there are a lot of people that you can go around and interact with, and there are a lot of people that can get to know about your work. And so, the familiarity with you and your familiarity with the entire system of the company and all of that becomes so much good that, of course, hiring you would be a very great decision for them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I believe internship is always a great place to break into the industry if you are a fresher or right after your PhD as well. Okay, I think after PhD it might feel like a demotion because you're going in as an intern, but then there are postdoc intern positions as well in industry where you can go in and again that gets converted. Does that happen in your biotechnology sector as well for PhDs? Can you confirm that?
So as I mentioned, it's not very structured way of
Yeah,
hiring in
yeah,
biotech.
yeah,
Hence, there might not be PhD specific internships in all these cases.
yeah.
Uh, I understand that it can feel feel like it's a demotion, but I will try to join a program where you can do at least one internship even during a PhD. That should be a case. And if that's not the case, and you're very clear you want to try the academic route, most often you may have to apply through an internship only. That's just because it's unstructured way of hiring, or you are networking in other ways. You are showing potential in other ways. So how I think of this is it's basically a marketing exercise for yourself. Can you show potential in some way? Credentials in form of academic reputation is of course one way that in an industry setting is not always the final decision factor, but it of course contributes. How can you increase things on that list? Can you show potential in other ways? Can you host a lot of projects which let's say are being used by a lot of people? Can you let's say host some projects on the web which are being used by 100 researchers, 200 researchers? That itself is a credential, and that will go away in industry. If you're not working on those sort of problems, then most often than not, the way to show potential will be through an internship,
Yeah.
and you'll have to go through that. So try to figure out different ways of how you can show potential, how you can market yourself in different ways. It may feel a little bit derogatory that you're marketing your skills and your potential, but that honestly is the exercise. So how you can do that for yourself, how you can pick a route for yourself, that's what an individual needs to figure out and act for it, try different things that way, and figure out how they can find an industry route. If nothing like that exists, joining to an internship might be the way.
Yeah, so I want to come back to that pointer of derogatory, that it might feel a bit derogatory when you're marketing yourself and all of that. But would you agree that comes from an academic mindset as well, that this is feeling derogatory? But however, this is actually showcasing your problem solving skills, right? How you can problem solve for real world problems. And one of the ways to do that is getting vocal about your work through various social medias. So, can you just explain a bit on that derogatory part that you mentioned? Like, does it come from the academic mindset again?
Well, I can be, I can get a lot of hate for it, but I think that's the case. It does come from that, and I think it's a subconscious bias. Yeah, it's not like people are telling you that oh things
Yeah,
like
right, right, right. Yeah, no one is explicit about it. No, you should not do it. But somewhere behind, I don't know how we are picking up the message that no, this is
that,
not the right way. But it actually is.
right?
Yeah.
So I give this example. While I was at Elucid, I was hiring for internship role,
Uh-huh.
but 700 applicants for it, and
Okay, how did you get 700 applicants? I'm curious. Did you announce it on LinkedIn?
yeah, and I was settling.
You announced it on LinkedIn. Okay, you got 700 applicants. Yeah. Then.
So I can basically I can maximum hire one or two people for that role.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, how do I filter two best candidates out of 700?
Exactly. Yeah.
People will say, oh, apply keywords, apply
No.
filters based on keywords. Even if I do that, there is no
Still
way.
200 or 300 people who will come after the filter. The problem still remains.
Yes. So it's not a matter of if you're the best candidate in terms of skills or not.
Mm,
In the age of social media, one will have to figure out how they can also be viewed as the top candidate,
right.
not from just a skills point of view, but um, also from that, you just don't need to be the top skilled candidate. You also need to be the top viewed candidate.
Mm,
The only way to do that is you figure out how you can have LinkedIn presence, how you can have some sort of social media presence in your profession too. And
mm.
unless you're doing it, you will, no matter how good you are, you will be just one of the 700. If you figure that out, you will be one of the top in that 700.
Mm. So, on that note, that reminds me of the fact that hiring doesn't reward meritocracy, it rewards visibility, right? So, if you can build that perception around you that, okay, you are here, you can solve those real world problems, it becomes here easier for a hiring manager to pick you because you're positioning yourself like that. Would you confirm that, Ayush?
So I won't say it does not reward meritocracy.
It
I would
does, but it's not 100% true, I would say, right? It cannot be just meritocracy that can get you the job, but you have to work on that sweet spot of meritocracy and visibility. Is that a better way to frame it?
So the way I view visibility is it's also part of meritocracy because
Absolutely. Yeah,
you have to use a different type of skill
yeah,
to be visible.
yeah.
Let's say if I have a good social media presence as a scientist, it is because I'm constantly polishing my soft skills. I'm constantly polishing my writing skills. I'm learning marketing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking how can I articulate certain things. So I'm definitely focusing a lot on my skills, and visibility is a outcome of it.
Right,
So
yeah.
meritocracy is definitely awarded. Uh, what aspects of it used to be awarded before versus in the age of social media, that's different.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Thanks for breaking that down again. And on that note, because you spoke about soft skills, okay, many of us get soft skills wrong. So if you were to bucketize soft skills and technical skills, how they're helping you grow, can you quickly tell me a couple of your aspects that have grown in terms of soft skills
Okay.
and things that have grown in terms of technical skills? And starting from the day you joined the company to now, like 6 years from the day you joined, what is the skill that is actually helping you more?
Okay. So I think beyond the point, it's a matter of soft skills which will help you grow because it's not like you cannot grow in terms of technical skills.
Yeah.
But after a point in time, it does not matter what sort of exact technical skills you have. It's more um, it's more sort of ability to figure out your way through the technical landscape. Let's say you don't know a skill. If you have worked on 20 different things and you're habitual to trying out new things technically, you will figure your way out, and that's going to happen in the long run. So let's say I don't know what generative AI is in context of bioinformatics,
Hmm.
but I have worked on a lot of different other things. It's a matter of time and effort for me to learn a new technical skill and the ability to constantly upscale and try new things. That will drive my technical growth rather than, oh, this is where I need to build my technical niche and all that. Uh, On the flip side, so point is basically it will become effortless after a point in time. It will be relatively very easy to pick up technical skills.
Yeah.
On the soft skill side, you do not start. You do not start from a very strong point in most cases. So soft skills is not just about how you communicate. It's also about, let's say, working in a team. How do you work with a team? How do you um, think of certain ideas? How do you challenge certain notions?
Right.
And how do you figure out a growth trajectory for yourself? So you will not start from a very strong point uh, of soft skills in your career, and you'll have to learn a lot of different things. So things like um, how do you work with your team? How do you manage conflicts? How do you manage escalations at any level? How do you figure out a growth trajectory for yourself? Plan for it, work. How do you align with the company culture, the plans and the goals? How do you think of different ideas? I think all of that is part of soft skills. So basically, conversations, ideas, planning, um, talking to people, EQ, all of that all is on the soft skill side of things.
Yeah.
And, in the long term, if you think of any career, it's less to do with oh how good you are on ground.
Mm.
for that matters.
Mm.
But it matters. You have worked for a long time on ground. Can you now lead a team of people? Can you
Exactly.
now think of ideas that can take this company forward? Can you think of revolutionary ideas that can be beneficial for the market or for the patients or for any other case?
Yeah.
Beyond the point, technical skills, picking up technical skills is not going to be tough.
Mm.
As you start working with people and leading teams, people will be doing that on your behalf. Your soft skills are going to be much important as you grow, and it will not be that easy to pick up soft skills. I mean, if you have a good, you can pick up technical skills on it with just with your own effort. For learning soft skills, often you require good mentors. So I think picking up soft skills is much more harder.
Yeah, I think we are hitting all right notes in the conversation. I thought I would be wrapping up this conversation faster, but I can't because there are a couple of more questions that I have to ask you, Ayush. So, number one, you spoke about mentor. I'm going to remember that. I'm anchoring into it. I'm going to come back to that.
Okay,
The second thing I want to ask is you spoke about biotechnology and how unstructured that sector is. Okay.
right.
Moving forward, 5 years or 10 years, maybe too far, 5 years down the line, do you see this sector getting structured? What is your one advice to the students or PhDs who are getting into this sector? Okay, because again, you said the demand is a need basis one, right? And the supply demand right now is high. There's a lot of supply. The demand is not as much. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, Ayush. So, how do you want? What is your one advice to the students, and how is this sector improving, or where is it going in the next 5 years?
Okay. So I think the demand is not meeting the right supply. And what do I mean by that is um, often you hear about things like how graduates from India are not fit for the industry job.
Reliable. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's even more true for biotech. And the reason is not, of course, the students. It's mostly the academic institutions. Most academic institutions are not training people. And there are, biotech has a lot more of these issues because just if you think about if they have to work in a lab type of setting, institution needs to have a lot of resources to be able to facilitate that.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, Often that understanding of that need is not appreciated by institutions. They might let's say spend a lot of resources on okay, computer science need let's say 20 new servers. Let's give them that. Um, let's say mechanical engineering needs 20 new late machines for students. Let's give them that. They might not appreciate okay, we need let's say 4 PCR machines. The question will be okay, how much that is going to cost. 4 PCR machines may cost let's say 80 lakhs or 90 lakhs. Okay, they're asking for 4 machines which are worth that. So the management does not understand that it's a very crucial need. 4 machines will
Yeah.
not enough, but people will manage. Just the cost of equipments, reagents, whatever you need to learn practical skills in biotech, that's a lot, I think.
Mm.
And, universities are not understanding it. Students, as an outcome, don't learn practical skills. And this field is very practically demanding. You need to have theoretical knowledge, basically means nothing. It's just a starting point, and unless you have practical skills, you're not hireable. So demand is not getting the right kind of supply. That's case one. Most of the biotech grads, yeah,
That case one, I just want to confirm one thing. So it's not actually demand supply. The demand is there, the supply is also there, but the supply quality is not great.
right, right,
Yeah? Yes,
right.
yeah? Okay. Okay. Now let's move to the second part of the question, which was about how is this sector growing in the next 5 years, and what is your one advice to students and the PhDs?
Okay, so I am happy about some of the good developments in the field. Uh, I am not happy about the pace of developments in India, and we can do a lot more. So, for instance, I was reading about uh, Zerodha, sorry, not Zerodha, but the investing firm that they have. I think it's Rain Matter or something like that. So Kamak Brothers through Rain Matter invested in a company. I'm again forgetting the name of the company. It's a startup. They're basically making bioplastics or alternatives to plastic through seaweed extracts. So it's biodegradable. It will not have microplastic issues and all those cases. And they invested in it. And their idea is we'll make packaging materials out of it and bring down the cost at a level where it matches plastic. Once that happens, at least we'll be less dependent on plastic to an extent. We'll face Um, we'll face less of health issues which are there due to plastic, the microplastic issue, once they operate at scale, and it's a good start. So there is like an Indian company doing it, invested by, funded by an Indian investor, and it's doing great. And there are a lot of other companies in biotech field working in the energy sector, in case of biomaterial sectors and all those things. So companies are trying to do good. They are working hard. They are trying to think of alternative solutions, and I think that's the future. The issue is we don't need one of these companies. We need 10 of these companies right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the pace that's required, but is not being met. Of course, a lot of research and funding goes into it, and that's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it needs to happen, both for the Indian biotech landscape to grow faster and at the in the right direction also. As there is competition, there is also an understanding of what do we need to do right, what do we need to do better. So that definitely needs to happen. So I am hopeful. I'm happy about the developments. I'm just not happy with the pace of it.
Okay. Yeah.
And what can students do about this? So I think students should just need to figure out how they can upskill, how they can figure out different routes, how they can figure out a route which they like working in, and
Mm-hmm.
they can make money also. I am very clear on this. Academic route might not be clear on this as a need, but as you grow in your career, um, as there becomes a lot of dependencies on you, you need certain level of financial backing at your personal level to be able to manage things. And unless you are doing things, you cannot have a happy career. So you need to figure out, okay, how can I pick a route which I'm liking, which has a good growth, where I'm making good money, and where I'm also these are I think I'll put them on equal pedestal. You need to make money, but also need to figure out how you can do work which is satisfying, which has a bigger outcome for general population, for humankind, and not just you're not just in it for the profits, you are in it for both the things. So don't focus on just one of it, focus on both of these things. And as long as you're doing it, you're upskilling yourself, you're figuring out routes, you're not thinking too much, okay, do I need to be in India or outside India to acquire these skills? It's fine. You can, in long term, come back to India if that's what you want. But right now, just focus on how you can build a good um, career, learn skills, make money, do something good. In the grand scheme of things, everything will be all right.
Okay, your inputs are always sparking more questions in my mind. So this make money part is also something that academia is like, not on the very
Mhm.
supportive side of it, because money and PhD and knowledge and money, like we are on the other ends, we repel, right? When we talk about, because many a times we have this mindset, okay, I'm here for the knowledge, not the money. I hope you have been through that, right? When you were in academia, it's money doesn't matter. You have to put in the knowledge and all of that. But it's a holistic growth. Having that capability to make money is also a skill that we need to develop as researchers or professionals. So your quick take on that, Ayush.
Okay, so um, I'm not saying that's the only academic setting, but that's a cohort definitely. The professors in that cohort are like, oh, can you be in this PhD program for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years?
Yeah.
We'll pay you, let's say, 5,000, 10,000 after your PhD stipend gets over, and you work with us till that long,
Yeah.
till maybe in your late 20s or early 30s, or even longer in some cases. And just make that much money, you're doing great scientifically, and uh, everything is all right. They just simply negate what sort of financial troubles an individual might be going through. And I'm
Right.
not saying that's the only academic setting, it's a
Yeah.
cohort.
Yeah.
So that exists. Just run away from that sort of cohort,
Yeah.
or even remotely related setting. This is also a preconceived notion that in biotech or in any sort of research, there isn't a lot of money.
Hmm.
At least within industry, that's not true. Uh, so what sort of happens is in academia, people try to say you need to manage your expectations. It is not going to be a lot of money in research. Don't have that. Don't take by that. As you will jump in industry, as you will learn how industry makes money, how you can make money through that, you can make a lot of money.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
definitely chase that, because what happens, research is a very creative field. Creativity, I think, comes from a sense of freedom. And in today's age, freedom has its one of the aspect, which is financial freedom. If you have financial freedom, after a point in time, you may not be able to pursue certain ideas, and you need to be very clear about it. So
Hmm.
if you want to pursue grandest of ideas after some point in time,
Yeah.
you should choose financial freedom, and
Right.
you should.
Thank you so much for addressing that with whole transparency. And on that financial freedom, I'm shifting gears to the fact that right now you're working remotely, right? Now, working remotely as well comes with its own set of freedom, right? So now that you have worked in an office setup and now you moved into a remote setup. So, what is your take on working remotely and in office, and which is the setup that uh, helps you grow better, because we are always constantly learning, right? Which is the ecosystem that we fit in better, so which is the one that works for you better? And also the fact that there are remote jobs for biotech and research as well. That's also a myth people might not know, right? They think that it's always that you have to go visit office and then do the work, but then there is remote possibilities as well. So I want you to cover all of these things in this question.
Okay. So I won't paint the picture incorrectly that there are a lot of remote options. There are few remote options, and essentially, if I talk about my current professional engagement in that way, I am a principal scientist, but I work in a contractual capacity. So I'm essentially, in a way, providing business to another company,
Right.
and that's the way I'm working in, and that's why I can enjoy this remote freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So in a way, you're providing consultancy. You're acting as a consultant, right? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I work as weekly as, let's say, a scientist they would have hired.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it's on paper, remote consulting service that I provide.
Right. Yeah.
That's the case. And hence, I would not like to paint the picture that that's the norm.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get these kind of roles.
Exactly.
But
It's not easy. Absolutely. I agree.
right. So, what are the pros and cons of being remote versus in office? Um, I think in office, if your office culture is good, that's a caveat. If your
Yeah.
office culture is good,
Mm-hmm.
you will grow a lot. You will have a really good friend circle. Your mental health will be in check.
Mm-hmm.
You will have a lot more fun in life.
Yeah.
And as you go remote, you may think it's fun, but it becomes struggle because you don't have any external motivation to do certain things. For example, let's say if I don't have external motivation to wake up at a certain hour,
Yeah.
I schedule can go for a toss very easily. And it's a lot more effort to meet with people, to communicate with them. Because let's say my friends are in different parts of India. Uh, since I don't work in an office like setting, to meet them, we have to make plans and do those sort of things. So
Right.
just basic things become struggle. And in certain cases, if you don't have a healthy environment, uh,
Mm-hmm.
your mental health can go for a toss in that scenario very easily. So
Mm-hmm.
there are pros and cons of both of these. I think hybrid option is the best.
Hybrid option is the best. Okay. Yeah.
So why hybrid option?
It brings the best of both worlds, I believe.
Right. So I think companies should think this way, and that's what I'm taking from a company point of view. Uh, you don't need people in office to work when they want to work dedicatedly on something. Let's say I am working on making a method. I don't need constant discussion or people around me. I just need a room where I can focus.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to be very much in flow with the work I am. And if there are a lot of people around, it does not help me. Then there's a flip side, which is there are times when you need to strategize. You cannot do that as people are far apart. You need to bring them together. So whatever sort of hybrid model works, figure out when do you need to strategize and when do you need to, and also keep it flexible. Don't keep it rigid like, oh, you have to come these many days in a week to office. I don't think that is a good, healthy way for employees to work. It may benefit the company, but definitely not healthy for employees. Just figure out when do you, for a certain team, when do they want to strategize, when they do want to be in the flow in the silo mode, and let them do things that way. Um, it is very good to operate like that, and then keep a couple of in-person meetups just to have fun. You will take care of the culture or thing that way. So I think hybrid models are the best, both to meet the demands that companies have and to have healthy work environment for employees. I don't think full remote or full in office is the best way to work.
Okay, okay. Again, I'm shifting gears back to that mentoring question, and this would be the last question, followed by one more. Okay, Ayush. So, coming back to mentoring, okay, how important it is to have the right kind of mentors in your career journey, And when you have the right kind of mentors, how it impacts you later as well. What is your opinion there?
So,
And just wanted to elaborate on the second part. When I'm saying about how it impacts you later as well, is it's like in your career forward, like 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, and it's coming from my own learning. I had some of the best mentors, and their learning stays with me even now, and I'm even now connected with them. So, what
right.
experience there?
Okay. So I think you should have a mentor-like relation with people who have a good understanding of things in any of the areas. That could be, let's say, strategization, that could be any hardcore area of science, that could be anything. And that could be culture related things also. So, what I liked about Elucidata, again, not a promotion, but I met a lot of people who are good in a certain way
Yeah,
and they're very kind also. So, because of it, I have mentors who, let's say, have a good uh, understanding of how culture should be built within a company. So, when let's say I am working with a team and I'm facing any random conflict, I talk to them just to understand how should I approach this thing from a culture point of view.
yeah,
Then there could be other mentors who I can approach. Let's say if I want to strategize for a certain thing, certain way. And it may sound silly, but I do these sort of conversations in a way. One day I might be planning for a trip with them. One day I might be planning, okay, this is how the business needs to grow. What do I need to do in my own areas to do that? So it can vary that far just
yeah,
because I'm good at strategization. And then there could be people who are, let's say, good technically in certain areas. I can ask them questions related to it. And it's very important to not just figure everything on your own. You will take 10 times the time a person uh, who already knows that.
right, yeah,
Just approach them, ask them. And try to learn from them how you can do that in one tenth of the time in comparison to how much they took to do that thing. So leverage their expertise, their understanding. Don't just try to figure everything yourself out. It does not work. It will take a lot more time if you
yeah,
have to go fast. Seek mentorship, learn from them. Be also okay that in certain situations you may not find the right mentor and then you have to figure things on your own. But in most cases, a mentor exists and you just need to get in touch with them.
true, true. I totally believe in the fact that when you have the right mentor, your career journey gets accelerated by a lot of years, which you might not have been able to do if you didn't have the mentor. And so, finally, though I have many questions, I will come to my last question, and you will have to come on this podcast because I believe, again, because I believe we had a very deep conversation. And so, here's my last question for you, Ayush. Like, from the time you started, the Ayush who started in the industry first, to the Ayush who is now a principal scientist, how has your definition of being successful in career or life has changed over the period?
Okay, so I think what becomes scarce becomes more valuable as you start, let's say, in your bachelor's program, making friends, spending time with them, just making impromptu plans. That is very easy. Uh, your environment and your life is carefree. You are basically chilled out. As you transition into industry, okay, making friends is tough. Planning for things is not easy. Things can get stressful very easily.
Mhm.
And again, just your lifestyle as it used to be, it was even if you're not doing something, it's keeping a basic health in check, whether mental or physical. Um, as you enter into industry setting, this can go for a toss easily because the expectations that you were supposed to fulfill as a person that just completely changes. Being clear that okay, professional success is just one part of a time. You need to do that. I mean, it is wrong in a sense, but your impression as a person is very much based on the professional success that you acquire. So that's definitely the case. But only chasing professional success may not keep you happy.
Yeah.
Be clear that you need to chase or have a definition and make efforts to your personal success story also. And where that realization came is just after the COVID. I mean, I did not have any severe COVID symptoms, but the lifestyle and other things became too bad. And I had very bad sleep issues in all these different cases for a period of roughly 2 years. So very bad. Slow energy, not being enough motivated, lot of sleep issues. I used to wake up with headache every other day, and it was just not a good lifestyle.
Hmm.
And after a point in time, I was just thinking, okay, how long can I continue working hard in my professional stream?
Yeah.
So things need to click. I worked on these things. Now life is full of excitement. It's it's like I plan my year in advance. Okay, this is what I need to kill um, in terms of professional success. This is what I need to do this year, and this is what I need to do in terms of personal success. Okay, I need to do this trick. I need to make a trip with my friends at XYZ place. I need to do these things regularly. So uh, that's what I believe is very important as you grow in your career. Scale your professional pursuits, scale the goals that you have, but also be very clear on what your personal success or what your personal satisfaction path is, and give equal importance to that as well. So
Hmm.
that's how I think I have changed.
Hmm.
Uh, my life has become, after a turmoil, very calm and very peaceful.
Hmm. Hmm.
That brings a lot of energy just to reach my professional goals. Also learn new things. Also just constantly work on my skills and myself, while also taking care of personal side of things.
Mhm. Okay, I'm tempted to say this that your life has become a lot calmer, which is nice. But then calm is an invitation to the storm, right? Because it's always a cycle going on in life. So if it's calmer, maybe there's a storm coming in a good way or bad way. We don't know that. But I am a strong believer of the fact that it's always cycles happening in our life, and as you mentioned about this personal success, when you figure out how you can figure out these cycles happening in your life, that's when maybe you are close to your personal success along with the professional success that continues. So, Ayush, honestly, I am again tempted to ask a lot more questions, but for today, I will have to make a hard stop for this podcast. But I would want you again on the podcast because there are so many things that I couldn't ask today. And I hope you had a great time conversing. And if there's any one liner that you want to conclude about PhD research industry, then please go ahead and listeners would love to know about that. Any one liner that you want to conclude this conversation with?
Just constantly chase fun in your professional pursuits, and things will be all right. You'll figure everything out
Yeah.
as long as you're having fun.
Absolutely. Our last speaker also had the same thing have fun. So, absolutely have fun. And on that note, thank you once again for being so transparent and sharing your challenges, your journey so openly. And I look forward to having you again. And thank you once again, Ayush.